The rain had been falling since morning. Not the dramatic kind, just steady, quiet, the kind that soaks into your clothes without asking. Ethan Miller sat alone in his car outside a small apartment building on the west side of the city. His engine was off. His phone was at 12%. His bank account was worse. He stared at the building for a long time before opening the door. This was not where he thought he'd be at 32. 5 years ago, he had dreams big enough to scare people. Now he had a duffel bag in the back seat and a question that wouldn't leave his head. Did she love me for who I could become, or only for what I was supposed to deliver? 5 years earlier. Ethan and Claire met in Austin, Texas. He was broke. She was finishing her MBA. They met at a coffee shop where Ethan worked part-time while trying to build a tech startup that no one really understood yet, not even him. Claire noticed him because he talked to the barista like a human being, not like a machine. He noticed her because she always tipped too much and read thick books she didn't need to read. They started talking. At first, it was small things: music, work, life. Then one night, Ethan said it out loud. "I don't want a normal job forever." Claire smiled. "I didn't think you did." He told her about his idea, a logistics platform. Risky, complicated, no guarantee. She listened carefully. "You really believe in this," she said. "I do," he replied, "even if it fails." She nodded. "I like men who believe in something." That sentence stayed with him. Loving potential. In the beginning, Claire loved Ethan's potential. She loved the way he talked about the future, the way his eyes lit up when explaining ideas, the hunger, the ambition. She told her friends, "He's not there yet, but he's going somewhere." They moved to Chicago together when Ethan got into a small accelerator program. Claire got a corporate job downtown, good salary, benefits, stability. Ethan had none of that. But Claire paid half the rent, sometimes more. "You're building," she told him. "This is temporary." Ethan believed her. Late nights, missed dinners, stress. She would say, "It's okay, I know this is part of the journey." At least, at first. When potential gets tired. 2 years passed. The startup didn't fail, but it didn't win either. No big funding, no headlines, just survival. Claire's career moved forward. Promotions, better clothes, more confidence. Ethan stayed stuck in the almost. One night, Claire sat on the edge of the bed scrolling on her phone. "My coworker just bought a house," she said casually. "That's great," Ethan replied. "He's younger than us." Ethan didn't answer. She continued, "Sometimes I wonder when things will change for us." For me, she meant. Ethan felt it, the shift. She still loved him, but now there was weight behind her love, expectations. The first crack. At a dinner party, someone asked Ethan, "So what exactly does your company do?" Ethan explained. The man nodded politely. "Oh, still early stage?" Claire smiled too quickly. Later that night in the car, she said, "You need to work on how you explain it. It sounds unfinished." Ethan looked at her. "It is unfinished." She sighed. "I just don't want people to think you're not serious." That was the first time Ethan felt small next to her, not because he was failing, but because his potential was no longer enough. Results start to matter. 6 months later, Ethan lost his biggest client. Cash dried up fast. He stopped paying himself. Claire covered more bills. She didn't complain at first, but her tone changed. "Are you sure this is still worth it? Have you thought about getting a real job for now? Other men would—" She stopped herself, but Ethan heard it anyway. Other men. Men with results. The question no one asks out loud. One night, after an argument about money, Claire said something she couldn't take back. "I didn't sign up to struggle forever." Ethan stared at the wall. "I never promised forever," he said quietly. "I promised effort." She crossed her arms. "Effort doesn't pay rent, Ethan." Silence. That night, Ethan slept on the couch. And for the first time, he wondered, if I had already made it, would this conversation even exist? The break. 3 weeks later, Claire packed a suitcase. Not everything, just enough. She said she needed space. Until what? Ethan asked. She didn't answer. She moved into a friend's place, said she needed to think. Ethan knew what that meant. She wasn't thinking about love, she was thinking about outcomes. Back to the present. Now, sitting in his car in Chicago, rain tapping on the windshield, Ethan looked at the apartment building again. This time, it wasn't Claire's. It belonged to someone else. Someone who hadn't asked about his results, yet. Ethan took a breath. Maybe the real question wasn't, do women love potential or results? Maybe it was, how long can potential survive without proof? Ethan didn't knock right away. He stood outside the apartment building for almost a full minute, listening to the sounds of the city. A siren far away, a train rattling somewhere underground. Life moving on without asking how he felt about it. Finally, he buzzed. "Coming," a woman's voice said through the intercom. The door clicked open. Maya Rodriguez. Maya lived on the 3rd floor. The stairs smelled like old paint and cheap cleaner, the kind of building where the walls had stories and none of them were fancy. She opened the door wearing an oversized hoodie, hair tied up carelessly, bare feet on cold wood floors. "You look tired," she said. Ethan forced a smile. "Long year." She stepped aside. "Come in." This wasn't a romantic moment. No dramatic music, no sparks, just warmth. A different kind of woman. Maya and Ethan had met a year earlier at a co-working space in Chicago. She was a freelance graphic designer, inconsistent income, no illusions. They bonded over bad coffee and worse client emails. She knew about Claire, she knew about the startup, but unlike everyone else, Maya never asked one question. She never asked, "So when will it take off?" Instead, she asked things like, "Did you eat today? Are you sleeping at all? Want help redesigning your pitch deck?" No pressure, no timeline, just presence. The couch phase. Ethan stayed on Maya's couch at first. 2 weeks, then 3. He paid what he could, sometimes that was nothing. Maya never brought it up. One night, as they ate boxed mac and cheese, Ethan said quietly, "I don't want to be a burden." Maya looked at him. "You're not." That's easy to say now. She shrugged. "I've been broke before. I know the difference between lazy and drowning." That sentence hit him harder than any insult Claire had ever thrown. Loving the process. Maya saw Ethan at his worst. Unshaven, frustrated, staring at his laptop like it had personally betrayed him. Some days he was hopeful. Other days he was silent. She didn't try to fix him. She worked at the kitchen table while he worked beside her. Quiet companionship. 2 people surviving. One night, Ethan slammed his laptop shut. "No one's responding," he muttered. "I'm invisible." Maya didn't give a speech. She simply said, "Then tomorrow we try again." Not "you try again," we. The question comes back. Months passed. No miracle yet. Ethan finally asked the question that had been eating him alive. He said one night, "Why are you still here?" Maya looked up from her sketchpad. "What do you mean?" "I have no money, no success, no guarantees." She studied him for a moment. "Ethan," she said slowly, "I don't love a future version of you. I love the man who shows up every day, even when it sucks." He swallowed. "That doesn't scare you?" She smiled softly. "Only if you stop trying." Potential versus commitment. That's when Ethan understood something important. Claire loved his potential as long as it promised results soon. Maya loved his commitment, even without proof. One believed in outcomes, the other believed in effort. There was a difference. When the world tests love. Then reality tested Maya. Her biggest client dropped her. Income vanished overnight. Ethan watched fear cross her face for the first time. This is it, he thought. This is where things change. That night, Ethan said, "If you want me gone, I understand." Maya laughed, but there was sadness in it. "You think I only care when it's easy?" She took his hand. "Now we're both in it. Fair's fair." The slow turn. Something shifted inside Ethan after that. He stopped chasing everyone. He refined his product, narrowed focus, smaller clients. No ego, just survival. One client turned into two, two into five. Not big money, but real money. Maya celebrated every small win like it mattered, because it did. The man begins to stand. A year after Claire left, Ethan paid Maya back every dollar he owed her. She didn't check the amount. She trusted him. One evening, as they sat on the fire escape watching the city glow, Maya said, "You know what I love about you?" "What?" "You don't quit, even when no one's watching." That night, Ethan realized something else. Results feel better when someone believed in you before they existed. A message from the past. A week later, his phone buzzed. "Claire, I heard your company is doing better. Can we talk?" Ethan stared at the screen. Then he looked at Maya inside, laughing at something on TV, completely unaware. He turned the phone face down. Some conversations belong to the past. End of part 2. Ethan didn't have everything yet, but for the first time, he had stability, not financial, but emotional, and that changed everything. Success did not arrive with noise. There was no champagne, no celebration post on social media, no one clapping. It arrived quietly, like a deposit notification on a random Tuesday morning. Ethan stared at his laptop screen in Maya's kitchen. The number didn't look real. 6 figures. He refreshed the page twice, just to be sure. Then he closed the laptop and sat back, hands shaking slightly. The moment no one sees. Maya was in the shower, music playing softly through the bathroom door. Ethan didn't run in yelling. He didn't record a video. He just sat there, breathing. Because the first person he thought of wasn't the woman who left. It was the woman who stayed. The work behind the result. This success didn't come from one big breakthrough. It came from smaller contracts, late nights, saying no to flashy promises, fixing boring problems for real companies. Ethan had stopped trying to look impressive. He focused on being useful, and slowly the world responded. Sharing the news. When Maya came out, towel around her hair, Ethan said quietly, "I think we're okay now." She raised an eyebrow. What does okay mean? He turned the laptop toward her. She stared. Then she blinked. Then she sat down. "Ethan." He waited. She smiled. Not wide, not dramatic, just real. "I'm proud of you," she said. That was it. No sudden demands, no future shopping lists, no pressure, just pride. Results change how people look at you. Within weeks, things shifted. Emails came faster. Calls felt different. People listened longer. Investors who once ignored him now asked for meetings. The same idea, different reaction. Ethan noticed it. So did Maya. One night, over dinner, she said, "Isn't it funny how confidence suddenly looks like competence?" Ethan smiled. "And how patience suddenly looks like loyalty." The past knocks. Claire reached out again, this time more direct. "I always believed in you. I just couldn't wait forever." Ethan read the message twice. Then he closed the app. He didn't feel angry. He felt detached. A truth most people avoid. Results change attraction. That's not evil, that's human. But they also reveal something deeper. Who wanted the ending and who was willing to walk through the middle. Maya never asked for timelines. Claire needed milestones. Neither was wrong. but only one could survive uncertainty. The upgrade phase. Ethan and Maya moved into a better apartment. Nothing fancy, but clean, bright, quiet. They bought real furniture. Ethan replaced his old shoes. Life improved in small, honest ways. And still, Maya didn't change. She didn't demand, she didn't test. She stayed the same woman who had offered a couch and silence when he needed both. The moment that sealed it. One evening, Ethan came home late. Maya was sitting on the floor, painting. He sat beside her. "I need to ask you something," he said. She looked up. "If this had never worked," he continued, "if I'd failed completely, would you still be here?" Maya didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I would have stayed as long as you stayed honest." That was the answer. Not potential, not results. Integrity. The real difference. Ethan finally understood the question everyone asks wrong. It's not, do women love potential or results? It's, do they trust the man during uncertainty? Some women need security early. Some can build it together. Neither makes them bad, but confusing the two creates heartbreak. Looking forward. One night, as the city lights reflected in the window, Maya leaned into him. "You okay?" she asked. He nodded. "I think I finally am." Because success didn't just give him money, it gave him clarity. End of part 3. Ethan wasn't chasing validation anymore. He had already found something stronger. It was a gray Tuesday morning. Ethan had just finished coffee with Maya, sitting by the window, watching the city hum below, the kind of calm that only comes when your life is finally your own. His phone buzzed. A name flashed on the screen, Claire Miller. His chest tightened slightly, but not enough to panic. "Ethan, can we meet?" No explanation, no small talk, just a request. He stared at the message. A part of him wanted to delete it immediately. Another part, curiosity. The arrival. Claire arrived at a small cafe near downtown Chicago, wearing a trench coat and sunglasses. She didn't look rich, she didn't look desperate, she looked cautious. Ethan had seen her in different moods before, playful, impatient, frustrated, loving, but this was something new. She sat down across from him, hands folded, fingers tapping nervously on the table. "I didn't know where else to go," she started. Her voice was low. I wanted to explain myself." Ethan nodded slowly. He wasn't sure if he wanted to hear it, but he did. The confession. "I made mistakes, big ones. I left when I shouldn't have. I let my fear of failure, fear of uncertainty, control me." Ethan remained silent. His coffee cooled. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you," she continued. "I left because I couldn't handle the struggle, and seeing you succeed now," she paused, "it's made me realize how much I misjudged you." He looked at her carefully. Her eyes were real, vulnerable, but he didn't feel the old pull, not anymore. "Claire," he said quietly, "I've lived through that. I've rebuilt, and I've learned something." She leaned in, a little desperate. "What?" "The lesson. I've learned that love built on potential alone," he said slowly, "is fragile. Love built on presence, on trust during the struggle, that's strong. You weren't there then. Maya was." Claire's lips trembled. She opened her mouth to argue, but he held up a hand. "This isn't about revenge or anger. It's clarity. You made your choice. I made mine." Tears glistened in her eyes. Ethan didn't move. He didn't reach for her hand. He simply sat, calm, steady. "I don't regret what we had, but it's over," he added. Claire nodded slowly. I understand." For the first time, she wasn't demanding, she wasn't pleading, she was accepting reality. Walking away. They left the cafe together. Outside, rain began to fall softly. The streets reflected light like glass. Claire stopped at a corner, taking a deep breath. I hope you're happy," she said. Ethan smiled faintly. I am. She turned and walked away. No last-minute calls, no promises, just a clear ending. Ethan watched her go, and unlike the first time someone left him, there was no hollow ache. He felt relief. Coming back to Maya. When he returned home, Maya was waiting in the living room, painting the edges of a canvas in soft yellows and blues. He set down his coat, and she looked up, smiling. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I just handled the past. Maya didn't ask for details. She never did. She just set her brush down and moved closer. You're tense, she said softly. I've never been more at peace, he replied. The strength of staying. Claire's return was a test. It wasn't about money or status anymore. It was about loyalty, presence, and consistency. Ethan realized that the woman who left him hadn't failed in love. She had failed to understand the patience required to grow with someone during struggle. Maya had been there for every low moment, every rejection, every sleepless night. She had witnessed his worst and still chosen him. Results were nice, validation was nice, but the real love was built on trust, not performance. The moment that defined everything. That night, as they prepared dinner together, pasta and a simple salad, Ethan turned to Maya. I need to say something, he began. She looked at him, curious. I've lived through a lot in the past few years. The heartbreak, the failures, the near collapse of everything I worked for. And through it all, you stayed. Not because I had results, not because I promised success, but because you trusted me to do my best every single day. Maya's eyes glistened. She reached across the table and took his hand. And I always will, she said softly. Ethan smiled. It wasn't a triumphant smile. It wasn't smug. It was content. Complete. Results are temporary. Presence is permanent. The city lights flickered outside, reflecting in the kitchen window. Ethan realized something important. Results may change how the world sees you. They may even attract people who left before. But the people who stay through the struggle, they are the ones that matter. And for the first time in years, Ethan understood the difference between potential and presence. It wasn't about who believed he could succeed. It was about who stood beside him while he tried. That was love. Ethan sat on the rooftop of their apartment building, city lights twinkling below like distant stars. Maya joined him a few moments later, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. She handed him one without a word. They didn't need words. The quiet said everything. Reflecting on the journey, Ethan thought about the past few years. The startup that almost broke him, the woman who left because she couldn't wait, the friends who walked away quietly, the betrayal that cut deeper than any loss, and the small, quiet love that held him together. He realized something he hadn't known before. Life doesn't reward potential, it rewards persistence, and the people who stick by you while you persist, they are the ones who see the real you. The difference between potential and results. Claire had loved his potential. She had wanted to see the outcome before committing fully. Maya had loved his presence. She had trusted him through the uncertainty without any guarantee of success. That distinction mattered more than money, more than status, more than recognition. Ethan understood now that women, and people in general, often respond differently to potential, the promise of what could be, results, proof of achievement, presence, commitment through struggle. Potential can attract interest, results can demand attention, but presence earns respect, trust, and love that lasts. The quiet strength. Ethan turned to Maya. You know, he said softly, I could have spent years chasing validation, trying to impress, hoping for results to prove myself. Maya sipped her coffee, listening. But what mattered, he continued, was that you were here the whole time, not because I succeeded, not because I promised I would. You stayed because you trusted me to keep trying. That changed everything. Maya smiled. "I didn't need you to succeed," she said gently. "I needed you to be real, honest, present." He nodded, finally understanding that real love isn't about winning, it's about showing up. Success and love. Ethan had achieved financial stability, his company was growing, investors were calling, recognition was coming, yet none of it felt as important as the quiet moments with Maya. Sitting in the kitchen at 2 a.m. working on a pitch deck together, sharing leftover pasta on the fire escape, painting, laughing, and living simply, holding hands through setbacks and failures. Money and recognition were temporary, the trust and love they built were permanent. The test that passed. Claire had returned after seeing results. It was a test, and Ethan passed, not by boasting, not by proving her wrong, but by recognizing the truth. She left when it mattered most. She returned when it was easy. Maya stayed when it mattered least and mattered most. He didn't feel anger, not really, just clarity. The past had its lessons, but it wasn't his life anymore. A promise to the future. Ethan took Maya's hand, holding it gently. "I promise you this," he said. "No matter what happens, no matter the challenges, we face them together. That's the life I want. Not perfection, not instant success, just honesty, effort, and us." Maya's eyes glistened, her lips curving into a small smile. "I'm here," she whispered. "I know," he said. And that was enough. The real victory. Weeks turned into months. Ethan's business grew steadily, but the true measure of his life was not in the numbers. It was in the home they built together, the stability Maya's presence brought, the quiet evenings filled with laughter, warmth, and trust, the understanding that love is not about potential or results, it's about staying. He realized that everything Claire represented, potential, allure, promises, was fleeting. Maya represented the reality of love, constant, patient, supportive, and unshakable, and that mattered more than anything. The final reflection. Ethan thought back to every moment of heartbreak and every sleepless night. He realized, women can be attracted to potential, but that only lasts if it's realized soon. Women can appreciate results, but results without shared struggle lack depth. True love, lasting love, comes from presence, showing up when it's hardest, trusting when there is nothing to prove. He also realized this applied to life in general, not just love. Success and happiness are about persistence and commitment, not shortcuts or appearances. Closing the chapter. Ethan and Maya stood on the rooftop one last time that evening, watching the lights of the city reflect on the river. He held her hand, feeling the warmth and steadiness. Claire's chapter was closed, his struggles were lessons, not chains, and Maya's love was the foundation for everything yet to come. He finally understood the truth. Potential attracts, results impress, presence endures, and he had chosen wisely. Maya leaned against him. He wrapped his arm around her shoulder. For the first time in years, he felt completely home. No illusions, no pressure, just trust, love, and the quiet joy of building a life together. And that, he knew, was the real victory.